everybody. Welcome to Bestie Book Reviews. I'm here with my bestie, Mandy.
And I'm here with my bestie, Jessica.
So today we are doing our 1 minute book recs, or our weekly reading review, whatever you want to call it. So let's get started with that.
But this time is different because it's actually 2 weeks.
We'll explain that in just a second. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So we are still doing our Road to 1K giveaway. And Mandy, what do you have there for?
Okay, so we have the Cinch Sack Dark Romance Reader, full of fun swag in here, and it's also going to include
Twisted Love by Anna Huang, and just a whole bunch of swag items. Yeah, like you said. Yes. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and that you are following us on Instagram, because we do give away an extra entry for those of you who are following us on Instagram. Okay, so let's talk about this week's 1 minute book recs. So it's been 2 weeks since we filmed. You were on vacation and I was on vacation.
Yes.
So our vacations, we put that way. Our vacations are a little bit different. I went camping where I had like no cell service at all, and I laid in my hammock and I read, and that's all I did. Mandy had more of an adventure on her, so she didn't read as much.
Yes, I was at Glacier National Park.
Yes, you guys did a lot of fun things. So
I barely read it all these past 2 weeks,
and I read like a crazy person. So
I read 8 books in these 2 weeks, and I only have 5 books to talk about because there's duets.
I read 24 books in these past 2 weeks, and we've decided that I'm going to talk about my top 15, and then Mandy's going to talk about hers, and we're going to do it like
mine are all fantastic reads, though. I like fantastic.
Good. That's good.
Okay, you can go first, though.
Ready? Yes. So the first book that I have is Queen of the Lost Boys by T.S. Kinley. This is the third book in their Peter Pan continuation story. It is a reverse harem. This is actually the finale. This is a little bit bigger than the other two. This is it. This is the end of it. This was epic. This was 5 stars. Loved it. I can't really tell you much because it is the third book. But this one is where, Gwen is in Neverland and she has to fight to keep Neverland from the bad peeps, and she's got her boys, and it was amazing. So I highly recommend this whole series. They were all 5-star books for me. Absolutely loved them. So go read that one, or go read the whole series. Next.
Wow. I'm impressed.
But what do you say when it's the third book? I mean, you have to read the first 2. So, yeah. All right, you're next. Your book, Your first book.
All right. My next book is Twisted Pride by Cora Riley. It's part of the Kimora Chronicles. It's number 3. Definitely want to read these in order because the books just kind of, even though they focus on different couples, they go together, if that makes sense. You'll be confused if you don't read them in order. I guess that's the best way to say it. So this is about Remo and Serafina. Remo, as we know, is the head of the Kimora. And he is just not a nice man at all. Like, he's just not good. And he decides to go and kidnap Serafina, who is part of the Chicago outfit, which is their rival. And he's still like royally pissed at them for things that happened back in previous books. I don't want to give anything away. So he goes and kidnaps her on her wedding day, which is like a huge no-no in the mafia world. That's like one of the things that they all respect about each other, but he does not. He kidnaps her and takes her back to Vegas. And you can just imagine where things go from there. It was fantastic. It was a 5-star read. I loved it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's 5-star for me. I love that. It's one of my favorites in the Kimora.
Yeah. So. Okay, ready?
I'm ready. Okay, so the next book I read is Beyond the Thistles, and it's by Samantha Young. So this is a single parent bodyguard type romance. This is about Sloan, and she has witnessed or done something in the States. She's a single mom. Something has happened, and so she had connections in Scotland, and so she's taken off, and she is working at this resort kind of like castle type resort in Scotland, and she meets Walker. Walker is one of the security guys there. He's kind of a bodyguard for her, and he's a very reluctant hero. He's got he's got his own a past. He's got his own things, but Sloane and her daughter, he's got a soft spot for Sloane, and he's had it for a while. And then this is their story. There's things that still come up. There's things that are happening where they think that someone is targeting her or they're targeting somebody else. Like there's just things that start happening that are very suspicious. And so this is their story. I gave it 4 stars. I was seeing it as like this huge, like people were talking about how amazing it was. It was good, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, best story ever. So yeah.
Okay. It sounded good though.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I listened to it. The narrator does have a nice little Scottish brogue there, and it's fun to listen to. It was good while I was listening to it.
Okay. My next book, Jessica, I don't understand why the entire world has not read this book. You'll know.
Is that a jab at me?
No, it's not. You'll understand.
Oh, that book. Yes. Okay.
Yes. Lady Golden by Calla Reed. This is number 2 in the Belgrave Dynasty. Jessica and I have talked about Calla Reed's books a lot. We've talked about Surviving Trace. Again, this does not have to be read with having read Surviving Trace, but do yourself a favor and start with Surviving Trace and then go to the Belgrave Dynasty. So this is about Nat and Asa. Nat, this is like your typical brother's best friend. And so it's got that little bit of a forbidden aspect as they're growing up. This does a lot of flashbacks so you can kind of see how their relationship has progressed over time and how they've ended up where they are. And basically what ends up happening is Nat ends up marrying someone else, but we know that she loves Asa and we know Asa loves her. So it's kind of piecing together what went wrong and how they ended up married, or how she ended up married to somebody else. Well, her husband dies, which we know already happens. It's not a spoiler. And the book starts off with her getting off the train to go stop Asa's wedding. I was crying within minutes of starting this book. It is so good. Calla Reed has a way of evoking your emotions for these characters so incredibly quickly. And you're just sucked into this world and you don't want to leave.
Mm-hmm. So you cry. I get anxiety. Like I can feel it here. Like I just get that.
Oh, I get that too. But then the tears start coming.
No, I don't get that. I don't know what that is. So, okay, my next book. I read Widow, and this is by April Sky. So this is a duet. I've only read the first book in the duet. This was 4 stars for me as well. This is reverse harem though. But when we start out, we have Allison. She and her husband, Devin, have been trying to have babies for a long time. They're using fertility methods to get pregnant. She's lost several babies. She's had several miscarriages, and they are just finding out that they're pregnant again. And so they have all this anxiety and stuff going on about that, about whether or not this one will make it to term or not. And so they decide, her husband works in construction, and his boss says, hey, go use my place in the city, my condo in the city for a weekend, and have a weekend away and just relax. So they go off to do that. While they are in the city, they come across a guy who is being mugged, and Devin runs over to stop the mugging, and he ends up getting killed, and she ends up getting shot in the process. And just before she passes out, she asks the guy who's being mugged what his name is, and he tells her what his name is, and come to find out he's a part of a crime syndicate. I want to say it's mafia, but they keep referring to it as more of a crime syndicate. And he decides to take her and keep her. And he's got his 3 other buddies that all have positions of power. And the first book, there's really no romance. It's basically her mourning the whole time, which I get it. Like it would be horrible. And so that's what a lot of it is her is coming out of that. So the first one's pretty emotional. We'll see what happens in the second one.
Have you started the second one?
No. So I read this when I was camping, and I downloaded the first one, not realizing it was a duet. Otherwise, I would have gone straight into it. And now that I've been home for a week and a few days, I'm like, oh, crud, I got to go read the other half. So I do want to. It's on my list of things to do this month. Or to read this month.
All right.
Yeah.
I forgot to say when I was talking about Lady Golden, I also read the second book, which is actually the third book, but it's like a duet. So I read the Red Herring, which I can't talk about because it continues on.
Yeah, but it's Nat's.
Also
The other
really good.
Story. Nat's story is a duet. The first book in the Belgrave Dynasty is a standalone. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
It's not really a standalone though. You kind of have to read in order to understand what's going on.
Oh yeah, but it's by itself. It's just his story. Yeah. Okay.
All right. My next book is one that lots of people have been talking about. And I read the first two books. So it's Saving Six and Redeeming Six are the next two books I read. I read the first two in the Boys Atonement series, which is about Shannon. And this focuses on her brother, Joey, and his girlfriend. And I put off reading this for a while because their home life is so horrific. They're abused horrifically. I just didn't want to dive back into that world and read about all that again. I needed a break, but I decided to go ahead and read it. And if that is your concern about this series, you can actually go ahead and read the next books. Even though you see pieces of that abuse, the focus is more solely on Joey and his addiction. And you do still see some of that and relive a little bit of it, but it's not repetitive from the first two books, which was kind of my concern. So this is about Joey and Aoife. Joey becomes an addict at an extremely young age to deal with the horrible abuse that his father invokes on them. The fact that his mom does nothing about it. She's a victim as well, but in some ways, she's almost worse because she allows it, if that makes sense, from his point of view. I'm not saying that's my point of view. That's how he feels. And he shoulders all this responsibility of raising his younger siblings and trying to take care of his mom. And he gets a job when he's 12. It's just, there's a lot. And yeah, it's so incredibly good. And the way Aoife loves him and just keeps trying to help him. It's such a good story. I absolutely loved it. And when I got to the end, I'm like, I want to read more. Chloe Walsh recently sold her rights to Bloom Publishing and some other publishing company for where she lives in Ireland. And so the Boys Atonement series is supposed to have more books, which I really want, but it sounds like there's going to be 2 a year starting next year. So until the series is finished. So
okay.
Yeah, really good. There's a reason everybody's talking about it.
Okay.
You need to jump on the bandwagon.
You already jumped on it. I'm good. I don't have much of a desire to jump on it right now. We'll see. We'll see what happens. So, all right, ready? The next book I read was Coach by Devney Perry. This is the first book in her new series. I'm dying for the next book, the second book, because it's like coach, student, athlete situation. But that's okay. We're going to talk about the first one, okay? So this one is about Millie and Ford. And when they were in college together, they were really close friends. And then something happens, something major happens that causes, just as they're about to start a relationship, that causes them to have to go their separate ways. Now, this takes place years later. Ford has actually gone to play for the NFL. He played for the Seahawks, and now he has moved back to Montana where Millie is at. He does not know that she's there. He's a single dad. The mother is not, we see her, the mother of the child, but she's really not a lot in the picture during this whole situation. And so he has full custody of his daughter. And he's working for the college that he and Millie went to school at. Millie is still there. She is she works in the sports department. She works with him. She's a coworker, and there is a no fraternization policy. And there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of feelings. And yet, and when they start to work through those, they can't. There's no fraternization policy. So we'll see what happens. I did love it because it talked about the Seahawks, and then it talked about the Grizz in Montana. And one of my really close friends goes to all the Grizz games. And so it's football. Obviously, he's the coach. He goes there to be the football coach now that he had an injury and can't play anymore. So football.
All right.
So it was 4.5 stars. Loved it.
Okay. My turn.
Your turn.
So my next read was actually a reread for me. I read Wild by Kay Webster, which I read in anticipation of our buddy read, and I will link that video below. But the buddy read, just so you know, is a full discussion of the book, spoilers and all of that. So quick synopsis about The Wild. This is about a man named Reed who decides to move his family to Alaska. They lost their son, and he feels like this is the best way to try and get his wife to, I don't want to use the word snap out of her depression, but he's tried everything and nothing is helping her. So he's like, we just need this change of scenery. So he sells everything off, buys this huge plot of land in Alaska. They get in an RV, and him and his wife and their daughter, who she's 17 when they start on that journey, or 16.
I just know she's 17 for the majority of the book. She might be 16.
I think I feel like she's 16 when they start off, and she has a birthday while they're at the beginning and turns 17, I think.
Either that or she turned 17 just before they left. I cannot remember now.
I just reread it and I'm still
I know, me too. This week I just reread it. I can't remember.
So this is Kay Webster, so it's gonna be very, 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 very taboo. Just know that going in. But it's a fantastic read.
So good. It's so good. And you're reading it going, am I really reading this? Like, am I really actually liking this? Like,
yeah.
Whoa. And then you get to the end and you're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of my favorite books. It really is. And I feel a little creepy saying that, but it is one of my absolute favorite books.
All right.
Yep. Okay.
Okay.
All right. My next read, I read +2. This is by Jillian West. This is a reverse harem Omegaverse story. So this is about our heroine, who is Melody, and she has been in a relationship with this guy for like 10 years. It's not going anywhere. He's pretty dang toxic. She's an Omega and she needs to find her pack. So she joins this Omega exchange. She gets in with this Omega exchange. This is something that's touched on in a few of Jillian West's other books that are all set in this world. And so she goes out of state to this, basically this Omega exchange is supposed to find your pack, your alphas, and your group that you're supposed to be with. And so she gets there, she meets them, this group of 4 guys, and she just has a lot of baggage, and she's bringing extra baggage that she doesn't even realize she's bringing with her. And so this is their story. It was 3.5 stars. I enjoyed it when I was reading it. It's just not something I'm going to ever reread. It wasn't, groundbreaking for me, but I did enjoy it. It was good. If you like Omega's first story, of course.
Okay. So next, I have Free. So again, part of our buddy read. I'll just do a quick synopsis, but if you want to hear all about it and spoilers and what we thought of it, go watch the live show that I linked below. So this is about Atticus and Eve. We meet both of these characters in the wild. Eve has grown up out in the wilderness and seeks help from Reed and Devin when she gets attacked by a bear because she's out there by herself. And Atticus just happens to be visiting and bringing supplies when all this goes down. And Eve needs more medical treatment than what they're able to give her there. So he agrees to take Eve back with him to his house and get her some medical help. And in doing so, he starts to really develop feelings for Eve. But the problem is Eve is pretty young. Mm-hmm. I have 3 seconds left.
Good job. Yeah, nobody wants that bush medicine. Like, send us to a real hospital. That'd be great. When a bear attacks. Yeah. How about not getting attacked by a bear? That would be great.
And then I also read Daddy Read, which is the novella that kind of just revisits this whole world 20 years later to get ready for the new release, which is why we did the Wild and Free. So that's all my books. So now it's all you.
Oh, okay. I'm surprised you didn't talk about Daddy Read was going to be on here. So we're just going to skip my Daddy Read now. Daddy Read. Okay. Anyhow, so next I read Crave by Grace McGinty. This is the 4th book in her Shadowbred series. I love this series. So this is a shifter series of hers. They shift into these Mannix creatures, kind of like giant bearishy, not quite things. I don't know what you call them. Anyhow, we have seen Savannah, who is our heroine throughout the whole series. She is this very jaded, bitchy girl, and we don't know why. And so this book covers why. We find out that she was in a relationship with Quinn, who is her best friend and longtime lover, to protect him, because the head alpha of their group was very abusive, but Quinn's family basically sold him to them. So they had to do it. She had to go with him to protect him. And so she did. And so this is them coming out of that relationship, getting out of that relationship and healing and meeting the pack who's actually going to take good care of them and all that entails. And you really need to read the whole series in order to really understand what's happening, but so good. There's a vampire doctor and I'm all over him. Thank you. He was hilarious and yummy. And we see him in the Grace McGinty's Dark River Days too. So 5 stars. All right. Next, I was going to talk about Daddy Read, but we're not going to do that. We're going to skip that one and go to the next one. Oh, hold on. Okay. So my next read was Dr. Grant. This is by Katharina Mora. So this is about Noah, who is a doctor, and he has gotten a job at a university as the university doctor, at the clinic. And he meets Amara. So Amara comes into his office. She is a PhD student, and she is trying to start her own business, her own company of sex toys. She engineers sex toys. And when the book starts out, she gets one stuck. So she has to go to the campus doctor because her family is very wealthy. They actually own the whole, the university and all that stuff. Her grandpa does. And she can't have the family doctor come help her with that. So she has Noah help her with that. Now he's been warned not to go anywhere near Amara. There's a family history there. In order to keep his job, he is not supposed to fraternize with students or this guy's the granddaughter to the guy who runs everything, who is technically his boss. But they kept getting thrown into situations together and they're attracted to each other. So there you go. It was 4 stars. It was hilarious at certain parts. I mean, she got a prototype stuck in her and had to go see the hot doctor.
Right.
Don't make prototypes and then expect them to work. So, okay.
Good lesson.
It's a great lesson. Yeah. All right, let's get dark. Okay.
Do you want me to dim the lights?
No, the book's dark. You don't have to turn the lights down.
Okay.
Okay. So I read Lauren Beale's new release. This was just released this past week. This is called Along for the Ride. Mandy, I actually sent you the foreword in the book, or the dedication, which she was like, in case you guys didn't learn the last time, here you go. So this is a book in that it's kind of in the same world as Hitched, or same idea as Hitched. This is a hitchhiking dark romance. So this is about Leanna. She's our heroine. She runs away from home a few years before the book starts. She ends up getting taken off the streets by what she thinks is this guy who's possibly going to save her, but he gives her drugs. And so when the book really fully starts, she's addicted to drugs and she's living with this guy who abuses her. And she's trying to get away. One night she does get away and she steals a vehicle and gets going. And then she sees these guys on the side of the road. There's 2 guys, and that is Gentry and Carson. They're brothers, and they are hired assassins, and they're on the side of the road. And she picks them up. I mean, she doesn't technically pick them up, but you'll see when you read the book. And then they take off with her. So Carson is a psychopath and Gentry is a sociopath. Or it's the other way around. There's definitely check triggers for this book, but it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I love her hitchhiking books. They're horrible. They're awesome.
They're horrible. They're awesome.
I mean, there's murder on page.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So good. So damn good.
Okay.
Yep. Next.
Ready?
Yep. So then I read Until I Get You by Claire Contreras. Mandy read this one in our last 1 Minute Book Recs. I'm gonna second it. It was really good. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really liked it. So this is about Lila and Lachlan, and when they meet in college, and Lachlan is on the hockey team. We barely see him play hockey, so we're not going to call it a hockey romance. But he does play on the hockey team, and Lila is like this sassy, frumpy. She wears really oversized clothes. We don't know why. There's reasons why, but she does. She's kind of off to the side. And when Lachlan sees her, there's just something about her and her snark and the fact that she's not like falling at his feet that intrigues him. And so they start a relationship, and then something is going on behind the scenes. She has the stalker situation that's way more than meets the eye. And she takes off. She goes on the run. She has to. She goes on the run. And Lachlan's pissed. Then 3 years later, he finds her, and he is angry. He is so mad. He is what I would refer to as over the top possessive. It's so good. Loved it. Yeah. This one, actually, I got a lot of anxiety with this one in certain spots too. Like, I just want them to make it work. Just make it work, guys. Make it work. So there's that one. Next. Okay. So the next book I read was Brutal Conquest by Lilith Vincent. This is really hard to hold up and do this because my hands are not in the right spot. Hold on, guys. Bam. There it is. Got it. Okay. So this one is a standalone. It's the second in this series, this Brutal Heart series, but it is a standalone. This is about Xenia and Christian. Xenia, when she is 16, so when the book first starts out when she's 16, and we see her, she is absolutely head over heels infatuated with her uncle, and not like infatuated with him, like as in want him kind of thing. They have this connection. So her uncle Christian is, part of the family. This is mafia. Something happens, and he basically gets disowned and told to get his ass out of town. And so he does. He takes off. And then we start out 2 years later, where Xenia is 18 and she is taking over the business, and the uncle is coming back for what is his. And what is his is Xenia, and he's always wanted her. He's always had an attraction to her, which is a little odd, but it still worked for me. And so this is their story. Again, over the top possessive. You read this one though.
I did.
Yeah, I think you gave it 4 stars. I gave it 4.5. I loved it. It was great.
I gave it 4 stars. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, the audio just came out for it, so I listened to it. So good. 18-year age gap. Virgin heroine. So there you go with that one. Next. I went back to Lauren Beale. I'm just trying to finish all of her backlist. So I read Toxic Love and Toxic Desires. It is a duet, but they are novellas. They are the weirdest things I've ever read, one of them, but it's okay. This is about Scarlett. She's an escort. She falls into a situation where she meets Aaron, who is, I guess he's a client. And he has guys come in and beat her and rape her. Then he comes in to be the hero and has sex with her afterwards. So odd. And she actually ends up marrying this guy. He abuses her so much, she ends up marrying him. And then he convinces this other guy, Ryan, that he's like his accountant or something, and he owes them money. And so they make him come in to be the guy to abuse her and rape her. And he decides that he's going to protect her. There's something about him. So this was like a 3.5 for me, 3-ish. It wasn't as great. It was okay. They were really dark. They were just different. Ew.
Question.
Yeah.
Is she okay with all this, or is she actually abused in this?
She's abused in this.
Oh.
Yeah. It was hard. And they were novellas, and they were 1 and 2, and it was a quick listen because I listened to them. She's kind of like, I don't know. And she's addicted to cocaine. So he gives her cocaine, and then they do these things to her. So definitely dark. Definitely kind of pushing my limits for sure. And my limits are way out there, So yeah. Okay. All right. Next is like my favorite read during this whole time you've been gone. So I read Shallow River by H.D. Carlton. Now everybody always talks about the Cat and Mouse duet by H.D. Carlton. I rarely ever hear people talk about this one. This is so good, guys. Like, so good. So this is about River. River was born in the crummy part of town. She was named River because she was literally born in the river when her mother was running from her drug lord guy boyfriend that she has. Mom is not good. at all. But River has made something of herself. And so when she is at college, she likes this guy and she hears that he's broken up with his girlfriend. And so she really wants to get with this guy. She's always had this thing for him. He's on the fast track to becoming a lawyer, and his name is Ryan, and he is the ultimate package. And so we see that they actually do start dating. We kind of fast forward a little bit. They're together, and Ryan is not what he seems at all. And when she goes home to meet his parents after years of being together, she meets his brother, Miko. Miko is a detective with the local PD. And Miko starts trying to talk with her to tell her, you need to start leaving. You need to leave. Ryan is physically and like he is abusing her. He is beating her, but she's like, I need to stay with him because I'm the only one that can love him. Like she has the total victim situation that you would see in one of these things, and it's not as easy. God, it's so good. Dark, but good.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have more?
One more.
Okay.
So this one, Mandy, you might need to link this video as well because I read Hail by Kay Webster.
Okay.
I'm not going to give a lot of details about this one. It's really, we did it as our Convincing My Bestie. And so that video is out right now. But this is brother, sister, taboo relationship. Absolutely loved it. I wouldn't think that I would. The whole time I was reading it, I was like, do I like this? I mean, I'm rooting for this couple. This is weird. But I did. I liked it. And I put it off for so long because I just didn't know if I could do it. But I did it and I loved it. So this one was 5 stars.
You still have 20 seconds.
It's okay. They can go watch the video about Hail.
Yes. Go watch the video.
Go watch the video. So that's what I had. All right. We know that was a lot. That was a lot of Jessica. Sorry, guys. Sorry. But we're back on track now, right, Mandy?
I hope so.
All right. Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
Make sure to check back on Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for new videos from us.
And until then, we'll see you in the next video.